Hello everyone, welcome to Get My Class. Today we are going to solve this question which says, while performing IVF technique, zygote or early embryo is transferred into option A cervix, option B womb, option C oviduct, option D vagina. So let us understand the question. It says IVF technique, while performing IVF technique, zygote or early embryo is transferred into. So where does this zygote or the early embryo will be transferred during IVF? So what do you mean by IVF? IVF is nothing but in vitro fertilization. So what do you mean by in vitro fertilization? That is nothing but fertilization in the lab. Okay, in lab condition. That is what is in vitro fertilization. Now, when during in vitro fertilization, as I said, the male and the female gamete, okay, are allowed to undergo fertilization process outside the body of the female. Okay, outside the body of the female. Okay, because usually where does the fertilization occur? It happens within the oviduct of the female. Okay, but here in vitro fertilization, it is happening outside the body, that is in the lab. Okay, so once it is fertilized, once the male and the female gametes, they they undergo fusion, we get something called as a zygote. This is a zygote. Okay, zygote. Now this zygote will develop and it will undergo multiplication, and further it will form a new embryo, like it will form a small embryo or the early embryo. Okay, early embryo. Now this stage of embryogenesis, initial stage, will occur where? In the fallopian tube itself. Fallopian tube itself. Okay, so what happens that the zygote which is formed, and further either zygote or the early embryo, that is up to 8 cell stage, up to 8 cells, what will be done during after in vitro fertilization? This will be transferred in the fallopian tube, because fertilization has happened where? Outside the body. Now further development should occur within the body, so they will transfer it to fallopian tube. Then further cleavage will occur and it will get converted into blastocyst stage, and further it will get implanted in the uterus on its own, natural means. Okay, but only the zygote or the early embryo will be transferred in the fallopian tube. Okay, but if it is beyond 8 cell stage, like up to 16 cell stage, then it has to be transferred in the uterus. But within, like if it is a zygote or early embryo, that has to be transferred in the fallopian tube, because in the fallopian tube there are certain conditions which will allow further development and further differentiation to get converted into a blastocyst. Only then it will go and get embedded in the endometrium of the uterus. Okay, so that is why. So at this stage, if you have to transfer, then it has to be going to the fallopian tube, not to the uterus. So remember that. So option A says cervix, so not cervix at all. Okay, because it is very early stage, so it has to be either. If it is the later stage, it will go to the uterus. Okay. If it is early stage, it will go to the fallopian tube. So not cervix. Then option B says womb. Again, womb is nothing but the uterus itself. And this will be later stage, like up to morula, or it is a blastocyst stage. Then oviduct. Yes, oviduct is nothing but fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. And yes, and that is if it is zygote or early embryo stage, then it has to be inserted into fallopian tube. So that should be the right answer. Like vagina, no, not vagina, because embryo development will not occur there. Okay, so let us conclude the answer. So what is the answer? The answer is option C, that is oviduct. I hope you understood the explanation. Thank you, everyone.